Most people think BPO companies win deals because of pricing, capability, or scale. But that's not what actually decides the deal. Because behind the scenes, there are subtle psychological mechanisms that influence decisions long before the final evaluation even happens. Just like when you take a free food sample in a mall and suddenly feel uncomfortable walking away, or when a restaurant places a water bottle on your table and you hesitate to ask for free water. Small actions, but they shape behavior. And in outsourcing, the same principles are applied at a much larger scale. In this video, we're going to break down how BPO companies use psychology to win and retain clients. And once you see this, you'll start recognizing it everywhere. Number 1, the free pilot trap. Let's start with the most common tactic, the free pilot. At first glance, this looks like a smart decision. The vendor says, "Let us run a small pilot. No cost, no obligation." From the client's perspective, this feels like low risk, easy evaluation, no downside. But here's what actually happens behind the scenes. The moment you agree to a pilot, your internal team starts spending time. Processes begin to align with the vendor. Data and knowledge start flowing to them. Now this is important. Even if no money is paid, investment has already begun. And once a team invests time and effort, they become naturally resistant to undoing that effort. Example: imagine your operations team spends 3 weeks working closely with the vendor during the pilot. They learn the vendor's tools. They adapt workflows. They solve initial issues together. Now, if you decide to switch vendors, you're not starting fresh. You're undoing 3 weeks of effort. And that's where the decision changes. You're no longer asking, who is the best vendor? You're asking, is it worth restarting everything? That shift is the trap. Number 2, invisible dependency. Now let's go one level deeper. Some vendors don't just deliver what's agreed. They deliver more. Quietly. They fix issues before escalation. Add extra support temporarily. Smooth out operations behind the scenes. The client sees stable operations, fewer problems, consistent output, but they don't see the effort behind it. And this creates a powerful perception. This vendor just works. Example: let's say a process normally faces delays. The vendor assigns an extra person temporarily to ensure everything runs smoothly. The client doesn't know this. They only see improved performance. Now imagine switching vendors. There's uncertainty. What if things stop running this smoothly? That fear is not based on contracts. It's based on experience. And that's how dependency is created, without being visible. Number 3, on-site lock-in. Another subtle tactic is physical or operational integration. Vendors place team members inside your office, in your meetings, within your workflows. Over time, these individuals build relationships, understand internal dynamics, become familiar faces, and something interesting happens. They stop feeling like an external vendor. They start feeling like part of your team. Example: a vendor representative attends your weekly review calls. They interact with your managers regularly. They solve issues in real time. After a few months, people refer to them as, "Let's check with Rahul from the vendor team." Not, "Let's ask the vendor." Now, if you remove the vendor, you're not just changing a supplier. You're removing someone people are used to working with. That creates resistance. not logical resistance, human resistance. Number 4, transition, fear. This is where things become very powerful. Vendors highlight transition complexity. They talk about knowledge transfer timelines, migration risks, temporary performance drops. All of this is true. But here's the key. It is emphasized in a way that amplifies perceived risk. Example, you are evaluating a new vendor. On paper, they look better. Better pricing, better capability. But then you hear, transition will take 10 weeks. There may be service disruptions. Your internal team will need to invest time again. Now your brain starts comparing. Option A, stay too stable, predictable. Option B, switch to uncertain, risky. Even if option B is better, it doesn't feel safer. And most decisions in business favor safety over improvement. Number 5, performance framing. Let's talk about performance. Most vendors present improvement. And improvement feels good. But improvement compared to what? That's where framing comes in. Example, a vendor says, we improved your SLA from 60% to 85%. That sounds impressive. But if the industry standard is 95%, then the performance is still below optimal. However, your mind anchors to 85% is much better than 60%. Not 85% is still below 95%. This is how perception is shaped, not by hiding data, but by choosing the reference point. Number 6, relationship lock-in. At senior levels, decisions are rarely just numbers. They involve relationships. Over time, trust builds. Communication becomes easier. Familiarity increases. And this has real value. But it also creates bias. Example, a vendor has been working with your organization for 2 years. The leadership teams know each other well. There is trust. Now a new vendor comes in with better numbers, but no relationship. The decision is no longer, who is better? It becomes, do we want to disrupt something that is working? And very often, the answer is no. Number 7, early over-delivery strategy. In the beginning, many vendors over-deliver. They assign more people, more attention, faster response times. The client experiences exceptional performance, and expectations are set at that level. Example, during the first 2 months, turnaround time is extremely fast. Issues are resolved instantly. Later, the model stabilizes. Resources normalize. Performance slightly drops. But your perception is already formed. This vendor performs really well, even though what you're seeing now is different from the initial phase. Number 8, complexity as a strategy. Pricing and outsourcing is rarely simple. There are multiple cost components, volume-based models, SLA-linked penalties. This complexity serves a purpose. Example, you compare 2 vendors. Vendor A, simple pricing. Vendor B, complex structure with multiple variables. Vendor B becomes harder to evaluate. And when comparison becomes difficult, people tend to choose the familiar option. Complexity doesn't just confuse, it reduces competition. Number 9, fear-based positioning. Finally, fear. Vendors highlight risks associated with alternatives, data security concerns, compliance risks, operational instability. These are real risks, but when emphasized strongly, they shape decision-making. Example: you are considering switching vendors. You hear, other vendors may not handle compliance properly. Data exposure risk is high. Now the decision shifts. It's no longer about improvement. It's about avoiding loss. And loss feels more powerful than gain. Final thoughts. None of these strategies are illegal. Many are even considered best practices. But they are not neutral. They shape perception. They influence decisions. And they quietly determine outcomes. So the next time you evaluate a vendor, don't just look at cost, performance, capability. Also ask, what has already influenced this decision? Because in business, the most important factor is not just the data you see. It's the context that shapes how you see it.